Welcome back to Sunrise City World. Yes, indeed, as you've seen, Chief David Sabokente joins us next. He is the governorship aspirant for Taraba State's APC. Good morning, Chief. Thank you for coming on the program
Good morning.
today.
Thank you very much for having me.
It is interesting what's happening in the APC in Taraba State. There's a lot of talk at that position. Who will fly the flag? And there's several court cases now, as it were, because we know that you went to court and the courts now, there's that recent judgment that went the way of Senator Bwacha, which we'll get to hear from you what your perspective is about that particular matter. First of all, what are you going to do about that at the moment?
Okay, viewers, thank you very much. As I earlier said, I've been in contact with my lawyers and we're working towards appealing the judgment to the Supreme Court. At the moment, that is what we're up to. Because if you have judgment from two federal high courts on different grounds, I went to Federal High Court Jalingo on very different grounds. My colleague Senator Yusuf went to Abuja High Court on different grounds, and we both got judgment on different grounds. Therefore, setting aside my own judgment does not really invalidate what we are trying to do, the justice we are trying to get.
But why is Senator saying that they are the same issues, but different courts of coordinate jurisdiction, and so it's obviously...
They are never the same issues. They are never. If you read the two judgments, they are on on virtually different grounds. They are not the same thing.
So for the avoidance of doubt, tell us then, what is bone of contention?
Actually, you know, my brother and friend Emmanuel Bwacha joined us roughly about 100 days to the primary elections. And we thought his coming would add value to what we were doing. His coming would have been, you come into a house, you meet those who are on ground, you discuss, you find common grounds, and then go into the primary election. He came in as if somebody is coming to take over personal property. Came in, ignored all of us. Mind you, we are 7 running for the elections. 6 of us have been in the party all this while, and he was the last to come. And barely 3 months, just about 100 days to the election. So the bone of contention is that he came in with what we don't understand. Even if somebody promises you tickets somewhere and you come into a party, you ought to work with those you are meeting on ground. You need to find common grounds and work together for the betterment of the party or for the victory of the party. But when you come in as a kingpin and ignores those you met on ground, those who have suffered to build the party, we suffered a lot to build the party.
Yeah, but he says he's been engaging. That he's been, when he came in, because basically when we asked him, it is the same problem which he summarized, that those whom he met on the ground, you know, feel that, you know, they should be the ones to get right of first refusal to the ticket. And that's why they're strongly opposing him. Is that the only grounds upon which you are opposing him?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Because like I earlier said, we all, like I resigned from a very big federal government appointment. I was a member of the Northeast Development Commission. I resigned my appointment to come and run for election, to run for the governorship. And then somebody comes, somebody who has been in power for a long time, comes in and underrates us and looks at us as if he met nobody on ground, giving the people the impression that he's the only one that can win election. Elections are not won by one person. Elections are won by a collective effort of a group. And you can't come to Abuja because politics is about people. Especially Taraba is even a very unique situation. You can't come to Abuja and think you are talking to people, you are negotiating with people in Abuja, and you expect that the people in Taraba will hold you, hold you firm. It doesn't happen like that.
So tell us, what exactly is the bone of contention? When you say he came over and tried to take over the party, what did he do?
Okay, like I earlier said, if by the time he came in, if we had gone in for a primary election and he wins that election in a keenly contested manner, all of us will file in and support him. he came in and tried to distort a process that we had started. There was no primary election in Taraba. I was taken aback. And mind you, I've been out of the country for 1 month. It is because of the bunch of lies that were being told that I had to cancel my engagements outside the country to come in. And I came in yesterday, and I have to honor this invitation so that we can put the record straight. You come in and met people. You have come into a place, you met people. You sit down, like I earlier said, with people and talk to yourselves, find common grounds, and go in for a primary election. I'm sure you're aware there was no primary election. But everybody knows there was no primary election in Taraba.
Is it for governorship or all positions for APC?
I wouldn't speak for the other positions, but I know for us that went in for governorship, we were all in Jalingo trying to, we were even in a meeting trying to find how the best way to approach the elections, since we are one of the states that were detailed to hold our elections by indirect. Suddenly, they say it was direct. And direct election has, if it's direct primary, it has its own procedures. You are going to have elections in 168 wards. And in 168 wards, you need police security. You need the contestants who have their agents. All those things we are not cut out for. So we raised the questions. And the Commissioner of Police invited us to find a common ground on how we can conduct the election, even if we mean postponing the election for the next day. Suddenly, we started seeing on social media people queuing up as if it was a coup d'etat. So that's why we're objecting to it. If there was an election, why not? We have had states where party members will sit down and say, look, the candidate coming in is better than us, or we can win election with him. And in that case, would have in Benue it happened. When Tom was to switch over to PDP from APC, he met the people on ground, they discussed, and he won the election. If he's coming to win election for us, and we're sure he's going to win, and in good faith, we will support him, would have supported him.
You don't think he's going to win?
How can he win an election?
Excuse me.
How can he win an election? Has he been able to even go to the state to even stage a rally since he came into the party? He's being highly resisted by virtually everybody. Yes, there are people he has been able to corner, but I assure you he can never win an election. I was even taken aback when he was saying that God has destined him, or God has told him. We're all alive.
Did he tell you the same thing too?
He has said it to quite a lot of people, that God has destined him to be governor. We're watching to see how the God we serve in heaven will make him governor, the way he's handling the issues. If you want God to give you victory, there's a way you approach issues. You don't just come into a place and be as if you are a messiah. We're all into these things.
So if I get you correctly, what you're saying is that there were no primaries conducted. Excuse me, you said your state was one of those initially primed to conduct indirect primaries, but then much later you heard that direct primaries were going to take place. Did you have sufficient room to be able to conduct these direct primaries?
That is what I earlier said. For a direct primaries, there are procedures. You will need party officials to be posted to the 168 wards.
That was not done?
It wasn't done. You need the police to also post security men to safeguard lives and properties at those points. You also need the contestant to send their agents. All this we are not done because we are not preparing for direct primaries. We are preparing for indirect primaries. And suddenly, and you know again, there was even a circular to that effect. The states to conduct primaries were state A, B, C. Taraba was not amongst. Suddenly, they just stampeded us with a direct primary that we were still even willing to hold it if it was going to be possible. That was why we went for the meeting. If we had finished that meeting very well and taken a common ground, we could have done anything the party wanted us to do. And but you know, it's on record. Everybody knows. The clergy in Taraba know. The party members know. Everybody knows there was no primary in Taraba. So we're even surprised that the appeal court will give that kind of judgment. Everybody knew there was no primary in Taraba.
What is, because for people to have gone to court, it means you're not happy with how the party has handled this. What is the latest position of the party or NWC on this matter?
Actually, after the appeal judgment, the judgment by the appeal court, we thought by now the party would have called us. At every point, we've all been willing to sit down with the party. Yes, we attempted. We even gave leeways. I personally advise the party officials at the national level to sit us down and let's agree on some things. We can't all be governors at the same time. One of us will emerge. What happens to the others? What do we do for the others to make them, to give them a sense of belonging? That was the suggestion I gave. Again, you imagine, he came in, Senator Bwacha came in, took the governorship, took the 3 Senate seats, took the 6 House of Reps seats, and took the 24 House of Assembly seats. How can that happen?
What do you mean he took them? How did he take them?
If you check the candidates that have gone in now,
He provided the candidates?
Yes, he provided all the candidates. And we told him that you can't do it this way. And like I said, we mustn't be governors at the same time. Somebody should be a governor, others can take other things. But he was not willing to do that. I personally suggested to him, in my first meeting with him, I said, look, if the party insists that you should be the candidate, leave the Senate for the various, Senate seats for the various other people who from their groups will nominate people who have bought forms to occupy those positions. In that, everybody will have a sense of belonging. But he felt, you know, what is happening in Taraba, I don't know whether the APC at the national level really know what is on ground. Because we are heading for the worst situation. And by that, we are giving opportunity to the opposition party that has not done very well in the state. I mean, if you come into a party, I keep saying this, you sit down with your colleagues, you talk to yourselves. I, for one, once the party were showing the interest that they were going to, they wanted him. I don't know on what ground, but if they wanted him, we are party people. We have suffered for this party. We were the people that conducted the congresses, we did the party membership drive, and we paid with our monies. We paid from our pockets. For somebody to just jump in the afternoon or in the evening and wants to take everything.
All right, my colleagues in Lagos have got questions for you. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much, Chamberlain. I really just wonder where or at what point consideration for governance, doing right by the people of Taraba State. I mean, seeing the latest poverty figures and all of that, where those considerations come in this whole process, because it just sounds as though, the major players want to take this position, take as much as you can, when there are actually millions of people who are, yearning for good governance. And perhaps we'll maybe link this to that this morning, because that's the big picture, really. All of these things happening, if it doesn't impact on the lives of people, then what is the essence of governance? So maybe in trying to resolve these issues, I'd like to know your position on this, because Senator Bwacha said pointedly that as at yesterday, he remains the candidate of the APC for the coming governorship election, because I asked him, based off that court judgment, yes, the appeal court, but then the courts in Abuja as well. So do you agree that indeed Senator Bwacha is the candidate of your party as it stands today?
I listened to your communication with him, and I tell you, as it stands today, we don't yet have a candidate in Taraba, because we have 2 judgments, like I earlier said, 2 judgments from 2 different courts. One has been vacated, but one is still standing on him. So he cannot even go and start anything and say he's a candidate at this point in time, until he vacates the judgment of the Abuja High Court. Otherwise, he wouldn't say he's a candidate. He knows. And I'm happy he also made it very clear that he wouldn't start anything until the issues in courts are resolved.
Right. I mean, I'll yield this to Bukola soon, but since we've brought Providence into this, and he's quite sure, that God told him that he would be the governor, he would win. I wonder, did God tell you otherwise? Maybe did God tell you, wait a minute, it's not going to be Bwacha, it's going to be you. So, because you said maybe God didn't tell him, did God tell you otherwise, since we've brought Providence into this?
Yeah, I wouldn't say God told me, but anybody that wants to be a governor from a start, you will see the features of a governor of leadership in him. I don't think what he's saying is true because God must have not spoken to him, because God does not go for injustice, unfairness, and lies. God goes for a matter that has substance. So I don't think maybe he's hearing from they call it the spirit of disarmament, or how do you spirit of disarmament. It wouldn't be from God, and if God that we worship is alive, I'm sure with time channels, television, and Nigerians will know whether God spoke to him or not. And mind you, Senator Bwacha, this is just a conflict between us, the contestants. He has 5 of us now to contend with within the party. After the contestant, he's going to face the party members, the APC APC followers in Taraba. After that, supposing he becomes a candidate, he is now going to face the opposition parties. We have other parties that are growing stronger and stronger. The SDP is growing strong. Labour Party is growing very strong in Taraba. The PDP is already there waiting for him because he has sort of betrayed them. So I imagine somebody wants to be a governor and is not willing to give and take under this circumstance. So the hurdles he has, yes, they say the way to heaven is very narrow, but I don't think he's on. I'm not seeing any prospect in him becoming governor because of the way he has. He has to contend with the 5 of us that are remaining in the party. One of us left for NMPP. He has to contend with us. After us, he will contend with the larger APC family in Taraba, who are totally against him. And after that, then he will now confront the other parties that are growing stronger. The Labour Party in Taraba is growing very strong. The SDP is also growing very, very strong at the moment. So I don't see him becoming a governor in any way. But you know, power comes from God. God can decide to give it to anybody. But I don't see that coming as easy as he thinks.
The road to heaven in this context is very narrow, you know, with so many players, you know, trying to maneuver with within the little space. Let's see how it plays out. But, sir, in reference to the 2 court judgments, you said 1 has been vacated, but the 2 ordered a conduct of fresh primaries. What is the position of the aspirants in all of this, yourself, Senator Yusuf, and Senator Bwacha, on the conduct of primaries as ordered by the court, particularly within the short time frame that is available to you all ahead of the 2023 elections?
Yeah, you know, he kept saying that if they conduct election 10 times, he will win. I thought when the second court judgment came, would have gone in for, in fact, even the first court judgment, if I were him, I would have gone in for the elections, since he was sure he was going to win if they conduct the election 10 times. I don't think he's prepared to, he will be able to win the primary election. That's why he's trying to avoid it by using the courts. So for all of us, we've all been advocating for the elections to hold. Yes, time is of essence, but if the whole election today, I'm assuring you, it wouldn't be Emmanuel Bwacha. He wouldn't be able to win the ticket.
But you keep
because
referring to how he has the support of the party, you know, for whatever reason, the party leadership. Are you worried that giving this support base that he enjoys from the party's leadership, that probably they will provide what is necessary for him to win the primary if it was conducted in line with the court judgments?
Except if the primaries will not be conducted in Taraba. If to be conducted in Abuja, then it's a different thing. You know, things have changed. Our political system has gone through evolution. We are better than it has been in the past. No party at the national level will go and stampede candidates on party faithfuls in a state. If they decide to give him the ticket at this level, which we will contest till thy kingdom come. We will contest anytime they give it. If they won't let them give him ticket 10 times, we will contest it. Let's go and do the election. Once we conduct the election and he wins, we will follow him. I will volunteer to even be his campaign DG if he wins a primary election. Why is he shying away from an election? I think it's very unfortunate. APC has a very bright chance to take Taraba, but with what the leadership of our party is doing, I don't think they are ready to, they want to win Taraba.
Also, the Bwacha says that he agrees with you that the party has a bright chance. There's the manner in which you're going about this. It almost appears that, like I said, you're working for the opposition. You're working for the, you're working for the government in power in Taraba State.
That's also is an imagination. It's a figment of his imagination. I retired from the civil service as a director to go and vie for governorship. I ran for governorship against the current governor, Darius. I am one of his worst enemies. Emmanuel Bwacha knows that if there's anybody that gave them tough time in PDP, it was me. So how can he be imagining that I'm working for somebody? What has PDP got to give me?
There are no permanent friends or enemies in politics. It's only permanent interests.
Yeah, even with that, what do I stand to gain? The governor has run his 8 years. He's going. And anybody can take over from him. So for you to go to a national television and kept telling people that some people are working for the other party, you need to look at the caliber of people. We have a senator, a former senator, Senator Manzo, who is running. We have the former head of service of the Federation running for this election. I myself, like I earlier said, I retired from the civil service as a director to go and run for election. And I told you I resigned from NEDC as a board member to run election. What have we got to get from the governor who is running his final term, who is having few months to leave the office? And the governor happens to be his friend, his best friend. They started their fight only when they wanted, I think they had their fights when they were trying to do sharing of things. That was when they started their fight. So how can he say people like us will be working for somebody in another party who is somebody whose tenure is even running out? To do what?
But he gave us the impression that, because we did ask him, he says, yes, he's speaking with all of you and everybody to ensure that there's a common ground and that soon things will go well. Is that conversation happening?
How can you have common ground when you are from the beginning, when there was still the opportunity for us to have to sit around the table and share some of the things? Take the governorship, if the party insists they want to give you. Give the Senate to the other candidates who may not have bought forms, but they have people in their camps. Like I have somebody in my camp that would have been my senatorial candidate if he had agreed. But he refused all these avatars. He refused. He took the governorship, took the Senate, took virtually everything, and wants us to go and work for him. How can we work for him?
So right now, as things stand, if everybody were to come together and work together, what should he concede to get your support?
It's too late to concede anything.
Too late?
Of course, the time we gave him to concede, there was still the opportunity for some things to happen. Now tickets have been given to his people. He is carrying the load, a very big bag full of tickets on his head. And he doesn't know where to go and offload them. And he's saying we should go and sit down. What do we sit down and do? My senatorial candidate is there. Senator Yusuf has a senatorial candidate for the Central Zone. Dr. Manzo and the former minister have candidates for Senate in the North. If he had considered those ones, and some members of the House of Reps seats, if he has considered, would have sat down with him to do the mathematics. And by today, we would have been somewhere else. But he refused all those avatars.
So for you, the court has to sort this matter out?
Yeah, I'm heading for the Supreme Court. As I speak to you, I think my lawyers are around the Supreme Court as we speak. And mark you, I would push this matter to a logical end. I didn't even go to court so early because it's about a week now that the judgment was delivered. I thought by now the party would have invited us. And then say, okay, we tried the last time, it didn't work. What can we do at this point? But the party has not invited us, which means they made up their mind and we will not allow this injustice to thrive.
Did you consult the party before you resigned and went to contest? Did they ask you to go ahead? Did they give you their support?
Of course, when you show interest and nobody tells you anything, and then they even issued a circular that we should go and resign, from our positions, and we did. That's a nod from the party. That is a nod from the party. And again, part of the problem we have is, you know, there was a change of leadership in the party towards the elections.
Yeah.
We have a brand new set of people that didn't know who has done what for the party. Our uncle Abdullah Adamo is a new person. The secretary, they are veterans in politics, but they were fairly new in these positions. The best way to have approached this is to have studied each state on merit and then sit down to know the best decision to take to win election. You can see the number of cases we are losing. The APC is losing a lot of states. Senator Abdullah Adamo has even lost the Senate in his own place, his own Senate seat. He has lost it in court. The candidate they brought has lost in court.
All right. Well, clearly, it's a matter that you say you're going to head to the Supreme Court, and the party has not reached out to you, and that is one way you think that will be sorted. But from the look of things, if this is not sorted, you're not going to support Senator Bwacha at all.
I wouldn't say that at this point.
Oh, okay.
It depends on what the party, if the party were just to us. Again, you know, I'm not the only one contesting. We are 5 contesting against him now.
So, there you go. It's a matter, of course, it's an ongoing concern. We'll keep our focus on this matter as it progresses. But we do thank you for coming on, Chief David Sabokente, APC governorship aspirant for Taraba State. We will be back in just a moment. Stay with us.